Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Batman.
How'd you know it's my birthday? Nobody knows it's my birthday.
Yeah, they all pitched in and got you some gifts. This is from GH5 and Sigourney Weaver.
Great. Tickets to the opera. I haven't been to the opera in years. I mean, like, a really long time.
All right, this next one is from Squatchy and Dr. Teeth, and Dino over at SRT sent this over for you.
Great. So, opera tickets and a gun, that's great. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, Dino did say you might need it. The streets would get a little rough. Maybe you'd consider it, kind of like you did in Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice League with Extraordinary Gentlemen. And last but not least, from Captain Malcolm Reynolds, Prototype Boba Fett, and Goldberg.
You guys got me some jewelry?
It's a pearl necklace, Batman, from Tiffany & Company. Spare no expense, John Hammond. That's what they got for you.
Martha! How do you know my mom, man?
Oh, Martha. Maybe that arrangement wasn't... Okay, I tell you what, we have one more gift. It's GH5 FIRMWARE 2.0.
Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
Hey everybody, welcome to Inside Craft Show. Jeff is back.
I'm back.
From DC.
Hello.
So he's finally back in the room. So today at Inside Craft Show, what we wanted to talk about, aside from Batman's epic birthday, is another epic, monumental moment where we actually are going to reveal Dawson's face. And we're going to reveal it in high resolution, anamorphic, potentially even in HDR as well. This episode is not in HDR. There will be a link that we throw up somewhere at some point in this video for you to then watch some test footage we did for Heirloom. This is using the lens and such, and we'll throw it up there. Jeff graded it for HDR, blah, blah, blah. So you can see some cool high-res stuff. So the first grade that you're going to end up seeing, the Dawson reveal grade, is a Drew grade, which means it is completely just me having fun, monkeying around. It is not necessarily broadcast safe or something I would rest my head or life on. I would, however, just say that it's good enough to get through the scenario. And if you want to pixel peep it, you can send all your hate mail to drew@craftshow.com, and I will reply with 3245. And you won't know what that means, but for those that do, hiya. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the anamorphic process and how we kind of had to approach it. Because if you've seen our other videos or if you've seen the interview with Matt, Jeff here and his magic beard, he is the, what's the guy's name? Not Mountain, the Hound. What's the Hound's friend in Game of Thrones? Thorman. He is the Thorman. Yeah, that guy. Yeah. You are the Thorman.
I'll take that.
You are the Thorman of focus. So, if you haven't seen the video, just a quick throwaway. Panasonic, now we're working off beta firmware the entire time, right? So we're working off firmware that is not technically 2.0. It has all the features of 2.0. So there are some things that hopefully will be different. But one of those that is not and has been confirmed now by Mr. Matt Frazier over at Panasonic is that HDMI output on 6K only does not work. It's been disabled because it requires too much processing power, which meant Jeff could not pull on the Shogun and instead had to pull off the 3.2-inch screen, which pulling anamorphic's hard enough. Pulling anamorphic off of a 3.2-inch screen when I'm moving around constantly.
WFO.
Yeah, and we were WFO, which means wide frickin' open. That's brutally hard, so Jeff really kind of got taken to task. There are some out-of-focus shots in Heirloom. There are. But they're story elements. So that's part of being a creative storyteller. I choose story over a video for YouTube because to me the story is way more important. That video, the Heirloom video, is basically a camera test with a narrative built in to see how it would work. Jeff and I worked really hard, along with Dawson, who you finally get to see. We worked really hard to put that story together. So that's what we're going to actually have for you. We're going to have the test footage, the initial test footage of us doing that. Can you kind of talk about the process from just the focus side, just for a beat?
What part about the focus side?
How difficult it was? Hell or High Watermelon, favorite summer beer?
Yeah, so I mean, it's like you said in the Matt video. it's kind of like going back to old film days where you have to measure everything. You have to mark it out. You have to trust where the camera op's going to be. This one moves around a whole lot, so you have to freestyle a little bit. But yeah, no, it's extremely difficult, but you have to just do it, be confident, and pray when you watch dailies at the end of the day after you transcode it that it was in focus.
Again, that's only in the high-res 6K anamorphic that's turned off. In 4K, it works fantastic.
Yeah, 4K anamorphic, it works fine. Only other thing really for me was you and I have worked together for a very long time, which made it actually way easier.
Yeah,
for
that's
us to
just,
do it.
I mean,
we
that's
know how
the
each
team.
other work.
Yeah, we're a team. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not about Drew. It's not about Jeff. It's
No.
about Dreff.
Trust me, as the first AC, I don't want those autofocus shots in there.
Right.
As a producer and storyteller, I want the shots in there because it helps evoke the emotions.
Yeah, and so that's kind of where we went. So what we're going to show today, again, is the test footage of that. It is Dawson. This is shot at 6K, high-resolution anamorphic on the Ingenue 30-72 that we had rented for the heirloom shoot, so it's a test. The first grade we're going to show, because I cannot show you the HDR grade that Jeff will be presenting. It'll be a link.
Somewhere in this realm of screen space.
There'll be a link up there if you want to see the HDR. Here's the thing, though. There's no reason to look at that HDR unless you can see it in HDR, because the reality of the situation is I don't want Jeff to have to do a custom LUT unless he wants to. So the reality of the situation is that HDR is meant for HDR, right? And if you don't see HDR content in HDR, YouTube will automatically create an SDR LUT. So HDR, high dynamic range, SDR, standard dynamic range, Rec 709, standard dynamic range. Basically, any content that's not flagged HDR with metadata, and we'll go into a tutorial on how to do all this stuff eventually, but how to do that is a whole nother process. So what we do have with this Dawson reveal video is an HDR format for you to look at if you so happen to have an HDR TV. And feel free to look at the link. I'm just telling you it's going to look different than what you're going to see. So what we have here is my grade. This is me going through and basically we shot log. So it's shot in log. This is me taking that log, grading off of our Flanders, off of our Shogun, and then kicked out to this TV behind me, which is a Sony. So we could use it as a reference monitor, but our primary grading monitor was an HDR LUT enabled or HDR enabled monitoring system. So I was working off of that. Well, not to do HDR, that was Jeff's part. But my part was I was doing SDR off of that. So I ran a normal SDR workflow, applied the GH4 LUT to it, and created the footage. Blah, blah, blah. Here's the stupid footage. Is there anything you want to say about HDR before we kick it off?
We can close it. Close the whole discussion on HDR.
Close it. Close. Case
I'm
closed.
done with it.
Bum, 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 ba-dum,
On
bum.
to HDR.
Jeff's beard
25K.
did some HDR.
Is that going to be the next HDR? HDR? Because it might be high.
It's triple
dynamic
HDR?
range. Yeah, triple HDR.
Time to
There you
play
go.
the game. Yep. We're in the edit bay.
We are.
Welcome back.
Exactly.
All right, so that's going to do it for this episode of Inside Craft Show. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Tell us what you want to see. The only thing that I will say we're not going to talk about, because I don't even know how to use it, so I don't feel qualified saying it. He doesn't know how to use it. Only his beard, who is currently under is on strike for union violations. We don't do autofocus. So if you want autofocus, wait for the firmware to come out and talk about it, because again, we are working off a beta version of the software. We have not seen the 2.0, and I have no idea I don't even know how to turn autofocus on except for on the lens, and I don't think that's what you guys are after based on what I've seen in the comments. So autofocus, not our questions. I wish I could help you, but it's just not our world, and I would be doing it a great disservice to you, to Panasonic, to filmmakers who require autofocus, to the words auto and focus. So, like, subscribe, share. We're gone. Here's some. I don't even know why I'm talking that way.
Oh,
We're out.
neither. We're out.
Ding! Insert somebody put a star in my tooth.